We all remember the day the Man of Steel returned to face his greatest challenge. But 44 years later, the real challenge was life itself. Today, we peel back the curtain on the cast of Superman 2, revealing the heartbreaking reality of aging and the silent struggles behind the scenes. From Christopher Reeve's ultimate sacrifice to Margot Kidder's final days, this is a nostalgic look at the heroes who shaped our childhood. Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent/Superman. Born on September 25, 1952 in New York City, the Juilliard-trained actor was an unknown quantity when he was selected to wear the cape. At the age of 26, Reeve's portrayal of the Man of Steel in the original film and its highly successful sequel, Superman 2, became the definitive cinematic superhero performance. He perfectly captured the duality of the character, balancing the bumbling, mild-mannered Clark Kent with the majestic, confident Superman, creating a cultural icon that convinced audiences a man could fly and set the gold standard for the genre that persists today. Despite the character's invincibility and simple moral compass, Christopher Reeve was a complex, classically trained actor who often found the role's limitations frustrating. While he shared the character's decency, the massive shadow of Superman led to severe typecasting, making it incredibly difficult for him to be viewed as a versatile actor in Hollywood. He struggled to find work that allowed him to break free from the superhero mold, and he faced professional discouragement as the subsequent sequels, Superman 3 and 4, suffered a sharp decline in quality and budget, diminishing the prestige of the franchise he helped build. Christopher Reeve redefined his life's purpose following a tragic equestrian accident in 1995 that left him paralyzed from the neck down, pivoting from Hollywood star to a tireless activist for spinal cord research. He continued to direct and act sporadically, including a symbolic appearance in the TV series Smallville. Reeve passed away at a hospital in Mount Kisco, New York, on October 10, 2004, at the age of 52, from cardiac arrest caused by a systemic infection. His legacy endures through the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. Tragically, his wife Dana died of lung cancer just 2 years later, leaving a profound impact on the medical research community they championed together. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, born on January 30, 1930 in San Bernardino, California. Gene Hackman was already an established Academy Award winner when he stepped into the world of comic book villains. At the age of 47, Hackman took on the role of the criminal mastermind, filming scenes for both the original Superman and its sequel simultaneously. His portrayal of Lex Luthor steered away from the traditional mad scientist trope, instead presenting a comedic, arrogant, and real estate-obsessed megalomaniac. This interpretation became a cultural benchmark, proving that serious actors could elevate genre films, and his charismatic malevolence set the standard for supervillains on the big screen for decades to come. Despite Luthor's flamboyant ego, Hackman was a notoriously serious and no-nonsense craftsman who often viewed filmmaking as a gritty job rather than a glamorous pursuit. The production of Superman 2 became a source of significant professional conflict. After director Richard Donner was controversially fired, Hackman remained loyal to him and steadfastly refused to return for reshoots with the new director Richard Lester. This necessitated the use of voice impersonators and body doubles to complete his scenes, a disjointed experience for an actor who valued authenticity. Throughout his career, Hackman struggled with the superficiality of Hollywood, often feeling uncomfortable with the fame that his immense talent generated. After retiring from acting in 2004, Hackman successfully reinvented himself as a historical novelist, enjoying a quiet life far removed from the public eye in Santa Fe, New Mexico. His final years were marked by a battle with advanced Alzheimer's disease. Gene Hackman passed away on February 18, 2025, at the age of 95, just 1 week after the passing of his wife, Betsy Arakawa. He remains one of the most respected and powerful performers in cinematic history, having traded the glitz of movie stardom for a legacy of literary work and a fiercely guarded private life. Terence Stamp as General Zod. Born on July 22, 1938 in London, England, the legendary actor stepped into the boots of the Kryptonian military leader during the simultaneous production of the first two Superman films. At the age of 38, Stamp's portrayal of General Zod became instant cinema history, characterized by an icy aristocratic arrogance that commanded the screen. His chilling delivery of the line, "Kneel before Zod," transformed a comic book villain into a sophisticated and terrifying threat, creating a cultural impact that set the standard for superpowered antagonists for decades to come. In stark contrast to the authoritarian and megalomaniacal General Terence Stamp was a deeply spiritual and introspective man. Prior to taking the role, he had spent years living in an ashram in India, a period of seclusion that followed his status as a quintessential icon of the swinging 60s. This hiatus led to a difficult chapter in his professional life as he struggled to regain his footing in a changing Hollywood. While the role of Zod provided a massive career resurgence, it brought the new challenge of typecasting as the industry frequently attempted to pigeonhole his complex acting range into standard villainous archetypes. Stamp successfully defied these limitations throughout his later career, delivering a critically acclaimed, transformative performance as a transgender woman in The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and earning widespread praise for his lead role in the neo-noir classic, The Limey. In a poetic twist, he eventually returned to the Superman mythology to voice Jor-El in the television series Smallville. Following a brief illness, Terence Stamp passed away on August 17, 2025 in Los Angeles at the age of 87. He remains a revered figure in the acting community, remembered for a distinctive voice and commanding presence that cemented a legacy far beyond the Phantom Zone. Ned Beatty as Otis. Born on July 6, 1937 in Louisville, Kentucky, the acclaimed character actor brought a memorable comedic charm to the superhero genre. At the age of 41, when he first portrayed the bumbling henchman in the original film and its 1980 sequel, Beatty's interpretation of Otis served as the perfect comic foil to Gene Hackman's sinister Lex Luthor. While the Man of Steel handled the action, Beatty provided the levity, creating a lovable, incompetent antagonist who became a fan favorite. His performance turned a secondary villain into a cultural standout, famously remembered for his attempt to rename a piece of real estate Otisburg. In stark contrast to the dim-witted and inept Otis, Ned Beatty was an intellectual powerhouse and a highly respected dramatic heavyweight in the industry. Known as an actor's actor, he possessed a gravity and intensity evidenced by his Oscar-nominated performance in Network that was the polar opposite of his Superman persona. While Otis was defined by his subservience, Beatty was vocal and commanding about his craft, often struggling against the industry's tendency to undervalue character actors. He faced the professional hardship of being seen as the supporting guy rather than a leading man, a working actor label he wore with pride, even as he fought for the respect and compensation accorded to top-billed stars. Ned Beatty maintained a prolific career that spanned over 4 decades and included more than 160 credits, transitioning seamlessly between film and television. In his later years, he found renewed acclaim with a younger generation as the voice of the villainous Lotsa-Huggin' Bear in the 2010 blockbuster Toy Story 3, a role that showcased his ability to blend charm with menace. He retired from acting in 2013, choosing to spend his final years out of the spotlight with his family. Ned Beatty passed away at his home in Los Angeles, California on June 13, 2021, at the age of 83 from natural causes. His death marked the loss of one of Hollywood's most versatile performers, leaving behind a legacy defined not by a single image, but by an incredible range of humanity. Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. Born on October 17, 1948, in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Canada, she became the definitive Lois Lane for a generation. At the age of 28, Kidder first took on the role of the intrepid Daily Planet reporter, bringing a unique blend of manic energy, intelligence, and vulnerability to the screen. By the time Superman 2 was released, her chemistry with Christopher Reeve had cemented her status as a cinematic icon, effectively redefining the comic book love interest as a capable modern career woman rather than just a damsel in distress. While Lois Lane was depicted as a composed and ambitious professional, Margot Kidder's real life was far more turbulent and marked by intense personal battles. Unlike the stable journalist she portrayed, Kidder struggled with undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which famously led to a highly publicized mental health breakdown in 1996, where she was found dazed and missing for days. Professionally, she faced severe consequences for her outspoken nature. After publicly criticizing the producers for firing director Richard Donner, her role in Superman 3 was punitively reduced to a mere cameo, and she spent years fighting against typecasting and financial instability in the wake of the franchise's peak. Margot Kidder rebuilt her career in her later years, finding work in independent films and television, including a symbolic role in the Superman prequel series Smallville, and an Emmy-winning performance in R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour. She became a passionate advocate for mental health awareness and political causes, living a quiet life in Montana away from the Hollywood spotlight. Kidder passed away at her home in Livingston, Montana on May 13, 2018, at the age of 69. Her death was ruled a suicide by drug and alcohol overdose, a tragic conclusion that sparked renewed conversations about the complexities of mental illness and the pressures of fame. Richard Griffiths as terrorist number 3. Born on July 31, 1947 in Thornaby-on-Tees, North Riding of Yorkshire, the British character actor began his film career with small but memorable parts. At the age of 33, Griffiths appeared in the superhero blockbuster Superman 2 as a terrorist involved in the Eiffel Tower siege sequence. While the role was minor and lacked the screen time of the film's central villains, it placed him within a cinematic phenomenon that dominated the global box office. This early appearance served as a stepping stone in a career that would eventually see him become one of the most recognizable faces in British stage and film history. In stark contrast to the violent, albeit brief nature of his character in Superman 2, Richard Griffiths was known in reality as a gentle, witty, and highly intellectual raconteur with a deep love for language. His upbringing was fraught with challenges. Born to deaf parents, he learned sign language at an early age and often felt like an outsider, a feeling compounded by his struggles with obesity, which persisted throughout his life. These physical attributes often led to typecasting, restricting him to roles of comedic buffoons or unpleasant authority figures, a professional limitation he battled to transcend. Despite his immense talent, he frequently worried about financial insecurity and the precarious nature of acting, fears rooted in a difficult childhood marked by poverty and family tragedy. Richard Griffiths eventually achieved global fame as the cruel Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter series and won critical acclaim, including a Tony Award for his role in The History Boys. However, his later years were impacted by declining health related to his weight and heart condition. He passed away on March 28, 2013, at the age of 65 following complications from heart surgery at University Hospital in Coventry. His death prompted an outpouring of tributes from co-stars and the theatrical community who remembered him not for the villainous or bumbling characters he often played, but for his generosity, mentorship, and masterful stage presence. Sarah Douglas as Ursa. Born on December 12, 1952 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England, the classically trained actress was cast in the dual production of the Superman films while still early in her career. At the age of 24, Douglas donned the iconic black leather bodysuit to portray Ursa, the ruthless and sadistic Kryptonian lieutenant loyal to General Zod. Her performance was a striking mix of cold beauty and physical menace, creating a character that became an instant cult icon. Ursa's severe style and disdain for humanity left a lasting cultural impact, establishing the gold standard for the femme fatale archetype in superhero cinema, and earning her a place in pop culture history. In stark contrast to the man-hating violent sociopath she played on screen, Sarah Douglas is known personally as a warm, humorous, and proper Englishwoman. This disparity often amused her, though the strength of her performance created professional hurdles. She struggled significantly with typecasting for years following the film's release. Hollywood producers frequently pigeonholed her as the Ice Queen, or the exotic villainess most notably as Queen Taramis in Conan the Destroyer. Her tenure on the hit soap opera Falcon Crest also presented challenges. Despite a successful 2-year run as Pamela Lynch, the uncertainty of television narratives and the rigorous demand of the industry required her to constantly fight for diverse roles in a business that struggled to see past her most famous, villainous incarnation. Sarah Douglas has embraced her legacy over the decades, transitioning into voice work and character roles, including a return to the DC Universe in the Supergirl television series and appearances in the popular Netflix A Christmas Prince trilogy. She was briefly married to fellow actor Richard Leparmentier, who played Admiral Motti in Star Wars, though she later settled into a contented life in the UK. At the age of 73, she is an active and cherished figure on the comic convention circuit, where she continues to travel and engage with generations of fans who revere her contribution to the Superman mythology. John Ratzenberger as Controller Number 1. Born on April 6, 1947 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the actor was carving out a niche for himself in London's theater and film scene long before he took a seat at a certain Boston bar. At the age of 33, Ratzenberger appeared as Controller Number 1 in the superhero blockbuster Superman 2, a role that required him to deliver tense technical dialogue amidst the film's high-stakes action. While the part was a small, functional performance as a NASA technician, it, along with his appearance in The Empire Strikes Back the same year, cemented him as a ubiquitous everyman in some of the era's biggest cinematic cultural events. This period represented the quiet grind of a working actor whose face was becoming familiar to global audiences even if his name was not yet known. The rigid, serious demeanor of Controller Number 1 stood in sharp contrast to Ratzenberger's roots in improvisational comedy and his naturally gregarious blue-collar personality. While his character in Superman 2 was defined by professional restraint, Ratzenberger himself was an expressive performer who later flourished playing the know-it-all postman Cliff Clavin on Cheers. However, the immense success of Cheers brought its own set of professional hurdles. For years following the show, Ratzenberger struggled with severe typecasting. The industry and audiences so conflated him with the triva-spouting mailman that landing diverse live-action roles became difficult, a common plight for actors who define a sitcom era. John Ratzenberger successfully pivoted his career by becoming a legendary voice actor and a staunch advocate for American manufacturing. He famously became the good luck charm for Pixar Animation Studios, voicing a character in every one of their first 22 feature films, including Ham the Piggy Bank in Toy Story and Mac in Cars. At the age of 78, he is semi-retired but remains a respected figure in the entertainment industry and a vocal supporter of skilled labor through his Made in America initiatives. Living in Connecticut with his wife Julie Blickfelt, whom he married in 2012, he enjoys a legacy that spans from the control rooms of classic sci-fi to the comfort of the most beloved animated films in history. Jackie Cooper as Perry White. Born on September 15, 1922 in Los Angeles, California, the former child star brought a lifetime of industry experience to the screen when he stepped into the chaotic newsroom of the Daily Planet. At the age of 56, Cooper's portrayal of the gruff, barking editor-in-chief became the definitive version of the character for a generation, grounding the fantastical superhero franchise with grit and humor. Reprising the role in Superman 2, his authoritative delivery of lines like, "Don't call me Chief," and his exasperated comedic timing provided the perfect foil to Clark Kent, turning a supporting comic book figure into a memorable cinematic icon. Behind the bluster of Perry White was a man who had endured a complex and often traumatic history in Hollywood. Unlike the confident editor he played, Cooper spent much of his life battling the shadow of his own early success as the youngest performer ever nominated for a Best Actor Oscar. His then story was marked by the severe emotional hardships of being a child actor. He famously recounted in his autobiography how his director, who was also his uncle, threatened to shoot his dog to make him cry for a scene, a level of manipulation that left lasting scars. As an adult, Cooper struggled to be taken seriously and faced the immense difficulty of transitioning from a washed-up child star to a respected adult actor, a professional hurdle that frequently left him fighting for roles before he successfully pivoted to directing. Jackie Cooper found a second successful career behind the camera, directing episodes for acclaimed television series such as MASH and The White Shadow, earning 2 Emmy Awards for his directorial work. He officially announced his retirement from the industry in 1989 to focus on his hobbies, including horse racing and flying. Cooper passed away in Santa Monica, California on May 3, 2011 at the age of 88 following a short illness. In recognition of his service during World War II, where he put his career on hold to serve his country, he was interred with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. Susannah York as Laura. Born on January 9, 1939 in Chelsea, London, the acclaimed British actress was already a BAFTA winner and Oscar nominee before joining the cast of the superhero epic. At the age of 38, when she first took the role during the simultaneous filming of the first 2 Superman movies, York brought a regal maternal dignity to Lara, the biological mother of Kal-El. While Marlon Brando's Jor-El commanded the screen, York's performance provided the necessary emotional weight to the destruction of Krypton. Her portrayal became a cultural touchstone for the franchise, offering a poignant and graceful representation of the sacrifice made to send the Man of Steel to Earth. In stark contrast to the serene, scientifically minded, and composed character of Laura, Susannah York was known in reality for her fiery temperament, bohemian lifestyle, and outspoken political activism. She loathed the English Rose label attached to her early career and fought hard against the industry's tendency to pigeonhole her based on her appearance. Her professional journey was marred by the struggle to find substantial roles as she aged, a common plight for actresses of her generation. She faced significant financial hardships in her later years, eventually having to sell her personal jewelry and art collection to maintain her livelihood, a humbling reality for a woman who once graced the biggest screens in the world. Susannah York remained active in the theater and on British television, appearing in shows like Holby City and Doctors during the 2000s, while dedicating much of her time to writing children's books and anti-nuclear campaigning. She kept her final illness largely private, working until nearly the end. She passed away in London on January 15, 2011, at the age of 72 from advanced bone marrow cancer. Her death came just 6 days after her birthday, leaving the British entertainment industry to mourn a fiercely independent talent who had captivated audiences for nearly 5 decades. E.G. Marshall as the president. Born on June 18, 1914 in Owatonna, Minnesota, the distinguished character actor brought a palpable sense of authority to the screen long before facing General Zod. At the age of 66, Marshall's portrayal of the president in Superman 2 provided the necessary gravitas to a world under siege, famously delivering the chilling surrender to the Kryptonian villains on national television. Though the role was relatively brief, his dignified presence grounded the superhero fantasy in a terrifying political reality, making the collapse of the world's leadership feel genuinely catastrophic for the audience. While his on-screen persona was often defined by unshakable moral authority and icy intellect, E.G. Marshall was known personally as a quiet, workmanlike professional who sometimes chafed against the rigidity of his public image. He struggled significantly with being typecast as the stern intellectual figure, perpetually cast as a lawyer, doctor, or politician, which made it difficult for producers to view him in more emotional or vulnerable roles. Throughout his career, he faced the unique professional frustration of the public, conflating him with his characters. Following his massive success on The Defenders, he was frequently stopped by strangers seeking actual legal advice, a pigeonholing that often overshadowed his versatile range as a performer. E.G. Marshall remained a constant and reliable presence in film and television well into his final years, successfully transitioning into memorable character roles such as the abrasive Art Smith in the holiday classic National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He worked until the very end of his life, with his final film credit released posthumously. Marshall passed away at his home in Bedford, New York on August 24, 1998, at the age of 84 from lung cancer. He left behind a legacy defined by his seminal work in 12 Angry Men and the golden age of television, where his resonant voice remains the definitive sound of American authority. Shane Rimmer as Controller Number 2. Born on May 28, 1929, the Toronto native moved to the United Kingdom in the late 1950s, where he carved out a unique niche in the film industry. At the age of 51, Rimmer appeared as Controller Number 2 in the blockbuster Superman 2, a role that exemplified his career as cinema's definitive background authority figure. While the part was brief, his portrayal of a NASA technician reacting to the crisis of General Zod helped ground the fantastical elements of the movie in reality. This performance was part of a remarkable run where he appeared in some of the biggest franchises of the era, including James Bond, Star Wars, and the Superman series, making him a subconscious cultural fixture for audiences who recognized his face and authoritative voice instantly. Despite playing countless stern military officers, technicians, and bureaucrats, Shane Rimmer's real-life personality was far warmer and more creative than the rigid characters he often inhabited. While his on-screen personas were usually humorless and strictly professional, Rimmer was a witty writer and a singer who actually penned scripts for Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons and other Jerry Anderson productions. His career was heavily defined by the struggle of typecasting. As a Canadian living in England, he became the industry's rent-a-yank repeatedly hired to play American functionaries. This pigeonholing meant that despite his range and writing talent, he frequently found it difficult to break out of supporting roles or secure leading work outside of his voice-acting fame. Shane Rimmer remained a working actor well into his 80s, embracing his legacy within the sci-fi community, particularly for his earlier voice work as Scott Tracy in Thunderbirds. He appeared in modern blockbusters such as Batman Begins and Dark Shadows, and released an autobiography titled From Thunderbirds to Pterodactyls in 2014. He enjoyed a long, stable marriage to his wife Sheila, which provided a grounding contrast to the volatile showbiz industry. Shane Rimmer passed away at his home in Potters Bar, England, on March 29, 2019, at the age of 89 after a battle with cancer. His death was met with widespread tributes from the Jerry Anderson fan community and film historians who recognized him as one of the most hard-working and ubiquitous character actors in British cinema history. Marc McClure as Jimmy Olsen. Born on April 15, 1957 in San Mateo, California, the actor became the definitive face of the Daily Planet's enthusiastic cub reporter. At the age of 21, when he first secured the role that carried him through Superman 2 and the rest of the franchise, McClure's portrayal of Jimmy Olsen became a cultural staple of wholesome American optimism. As the only actor to appear in all 4 Christopher Reeve Superman films alongside the spin-off Supergirl, he served as the audience surrogate, offering a grounded, relatable human perspective amidst godlike battles, cementing his place in cinematic history as the ultimate loyal sidekick. Despite playing the often frantic, stumbling, and gee-whiz photographer who constantly needed saving, Marc McClure was a steady, pragmatic professional who navigated the chaotic production of the Superman saga with a maturity that belied his character's naivety. However, his career faced the inevitable hurdle of typecasting. The industry viewed him so strongly as the youthful sidekick that transitioning to serious leading adult roles proved difficult. While he found another iconic role as Dave McFly in the Back to the Future trilogy, he often struggled to break free from the mold of the nerdy supporting character, facing the quiet challenge of maintaining a career once the blockbuster franchises concluded. Marc McClure has embraced his legacy within the comic book world while maintaining a steady presence in the industry. He made notable returns to the DC universe, appearing in the television series Smallville, the show Powerless, and making a cameo as a police officer in Zack Snyder's Justice League. At the age of 68, he is alive and remains active on the fan convention circuit, frequently appearing to celebrate the enduring popularity of the Superman films and engaging with generations of fans who grew up watching him alongside Christopher Reeve. Seeing how much time has passed since the Man of Steel flew across our screens reminds us that while actors may age, the hero's journey is timeless. These faces defined a generation of wonder and hope, proving that even mortals can touch the stars. Who was your favorite character from the sequel? Share your fondest memories of the cast in the comments below, and let's keep the legacy of Krypton alive together.